searchy card book catalog.
No, it's not.
That closet by the women's restroom where you keep the Christmas tree in the back.
Going on, sir? Thank you for calling me.
How are you? Good to see you.
That is in your box.
Yes,
I went over it. I'm gonna
still Mr. Bogart.
I have to go. We'll talk about it.
Okay, this will begin our caucus agenda meeting. So let's start with the pledge of allegiance and on the side. Okay, thank you all for attending. Staff, can you please call the roll?
Sure, Mr. Regano? Mr. Spadafore?
Here.
Mr. Ritter?
Here.
Mr. Ward?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Bogart?
Here.
Mayor Liscan?
Here. Under the announcements, the minutes of December 19th City Council meeting will be provided to everyone by email prior to the January 16th meeting. Under presentations, the thing we have this evening is our proposal on a collaborative agreement with the city and the City Rescue Mission on our vagrant issue in our downtown. We have Mr. Jacqueline, Executive Director from the Rescue Mission. Please come up. He'll be accompanied by Scott Baldwin. Scott will talk about the mental health component to it. And Missy Russell from Alcap. Missy, would you come up too? Also here, part of this team will also be Chief of Police David Kumo. And I think coming in here now is Ricky Trinidad, who knows that we were going to do this today and has a vested interest in our downtown and wants to be part of this collaborative effort. Thanks for coming, Rick and Mike. Mr. Lynn.
Thank you. Good evening. As Mayor Lisco said, my name is Jack Lynn, and right now I have the pleasure of serving as the President and CEO of the City Rescue Mission, and I thank Council for inviting us down. I wanted to bring Scott and Missy with us because the vagrant issue that we see in Newcastle is just like we're seeing across this country. And it's not just one organization, one agency that can address it. It takes each one of us. So I was happy a few months ago to give Mayor Lisco a tour of the City Rescue Mission, plus a chance to sit down and talk with him. And one of the questions he asked me is, do we have a vagrant issue in Newcastle? And what I told him is we have the same challenges and we're seeing the same trends in homelessness that we're seeing across this country. Newcastle is not in it alone, and HUD just released a few weeks ago the 2024 annual homeless assessment report that stated for 2024 they saw an 18.1% increase in homelessness compared to 2023 across the U.S. Keep in mind, in 2023, they saw an 11% increase. So 2 years of a significant increase in homelessness, and that's what we're seeing at in our city. We're seeing an increased homelessness just like we're seeing across the country. And the thing is, when it comes to serving those that are homeless and those on our street, it is a complex issue. There's no silver bullet. There's not one answer. We wish we all had it on how we can address the situation. There's a lot of things that leads an individual to homelessness, and there's some challenges that we are facing here in Newcastle, again, that we're seeing across this country. One of those is a mental health component. Those we serve do have a mental health component to them. 1 out of 4 that walk through the mission that we see needs mental health. And it's a challenge in all communities to make sure these individuals are getting the treatment that they need, that there's not untreated cases out there, whether it's individuals that are sheltered or unsheltered. And that's why I brought Scott Baldwin here, because they are a key part of this puzzle. Another trend that we're seeing in our area is lack of affordable housing. We are in a housing crisis issue in this country. There's more people looking for affordable housing from low-income individuals than there are housing units. The third thing that we're seeing is coordinated care. And what coordinated care is, it's all the organizations, all the agencies working together, talking, communicating on what we're seeing, how we're working with individuals, and working down caseloads for individuals that have sought our services. Those are the three large challenges that we're faced when battling those are homeless. And that's including individuals that come into shelter and those that we are trying to reach out on the street that will not come into shelter or have chosen not to at this point. And those individuals are even a bigger challenge for us. So roughly about a little over a year ago, Scott Baldwin put together a homeless task force through Lawrence County Mental Health. And he did this because they were asking the same questions that we're all asking. And we got the task force together, and it is a great group of organization, government officials, working together and trying to find out what piece of the puzzle each of us bring to it and how we can address it. And some of those agencies that have been involved this past year, just reading them off in alphabetical order, would be Arise, Catholic Charities, City Rescue Mission, Disability Option Network, Dawn Services, Grace United Methodist Church, Human Services Center, Lawrence County Care, Lawrence County Community Action Partnership, Lawrence County District Attorney's Office, Lawrence County Housing Authority, Lawrence County MHDS, Neighborhood Legal Services, Regional Housing Legal Services, State Representative Marla Brown's office, and the United Way of Lawrence County. These organizations got together and started asking the questions on how to address some of these challenging issues. And the first thing we did a little over a year ago was start looking how we can increase coordinated care, how we can communicate to those that we are trying to serve, and make sure that they're not falling through the cracks, that they're getting housing, they're getting mental health, primary care, that they're seeing the doctors, everything that we can try to give them the best option to get out of homelessness. And we've seen great success with that. One of the first things we did, City Rescue Mission worked with Chief Kumo, and we looked at getting information cards for police officers. And on these information cards gave a direct number to the City Rescue Mission, some of our roles, and it gave them access if they ran across an individual that was out on the street that needed shelter. This said they couldn't come to the mission. His officers could call that number and we would confirm if the individual was on temporary restriction or if there was no restriction. And this gave the officers an opportunity when they would say, no, listen, there's no reason you can't go inside a shelter. And it gave them the option to talk to them and try to get them in off the streets. So we are working with those efforts. The other thing that we want to work on and been working on is looking to do what we were calling more joint street outreach. We have started this. The Mission and LCAP have gone out together. The Mission and Lawrence County Mental Health have gone out together. And it's to find where individuals are staying and out on the streets, not coming into shelter, and working with them and encouraging them to get off the streets. We tell them, safety reasons. It's cold out. Nobody should be out in this cold weather during this time of the year. So it's working with them to get in. Because again, the unsheltered population is probably the hardest ones to reach and talk to. We've worked with those panhandling in our community, working with the police. We go and we talk to panhandlers because if you stay at the City Rescue Mission, you cannot panhandle. It's one of our rules. So we will work with individuals and tell them, let's quit panhandling, come in, go see the different agencies and get the help that you need. But to make this all work and make sure that we have all the pieces of the puzzle and that we're all doing our part, that's where we need the city and we need city council. We need somebody on the task force with us, working alongside us, finding out where these unsheltered individuals are that we can send out the joint task force, working with Chief Kumo and his officers over there to encourage these individuals to get them in off the street. that helps these individuals improve their quality of life. It helps them get a transformed life, but it also helps our city and our community. And with the work that you guys have been doing to revitalize the downtown and the improvements that we're seeing, this is one of the steps that we need to address as a task force. So again, I thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to come down. I look forward to working with you and pray that you will join this task force, attend the meetings, and help us address this issue so we can all work together and help those that are unsheltered and on our streets.
Yes, Jack, if I can interject, and I want council to be jumping in here as well, if I can interject. You know, for the longest time, and one reason why we're going to go forward here is, is because, you know, the City Rescue Mission, to be perfectly blunt, was always looked at as being part of the problem. But really, realistically, you're part of the solution. And that's what that's what people of this community need to know, including people in government. We need to know that you're part of the solution, and that's what we're going to do here. There's no question that we're having a revitalization in our downtown, and people's perspective is that we have this huge vagrant problem. Now, if we could, you can actually divide that problem into two different segments. Those who are out there actually seeking help, and those out there who are just being living in a post office, the old post office, right? And then they're going out and they're panhandling. But it's incumbent upon the people of our community not to give them any money. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, there's a study out there, and there's a great book that is called When Helping Hurts. We have the resources in this town that when somebody's out panhandling, they need to be referred to the agencies. We can help them, we can give them what they need. Giving cash is not always the best answer. While some may use that for food, others are using it for stuff they shouldn't be using it for. So again, going off the studies that we see in that book, When Helping Hurts, it can actually hurt the individual by giving them money because they might not be using it for food. They might not be using it to try to pay for a hotel event. The agencies are there, LCAP's there to help them get housing. We can give them temporary emergency shelter. If there's if it's a female with domestic violence, Arise can help them with that. Scott's Creek can help with mental health. We have all the agencies to wrap around them.
Right. And you know, the important thing here is that people have to understand that it's not us not being compassionate here. We are being compassionate. We have all the services. We have all the ability to help them. But one thing you can't do is you simply can't continue giving them money because they will still be away from the help that we can give them.
Correct, and that's one of the reasons we don't allow anybody sheltering with us to panhandle.
Now, obviously, we need the chief's support, and we do have the police support. They're going to be part of our team here. And we're going to move this to the police committee so that we have a real working task force that we can go out and target those people who are simply wanting to be homeless and are out on our streets. But could you talk a little bit, just for council's understanding, the new legislation that was passed this summer, Grants Pass?
Yeah, Grants Pass versus Johnson is a Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court ruled it basically gives local government the ability to pass ordinances against those camping in public areas. And by giving them either a criminal offense or moving them out of that public area, that doesn't constitute cruel and unusual punishment. So the federal level has given that ruling. We're seeing how states and local government will work out their interpretation of that and what they can do. But it does give a little bit of flexibility now to local governments to take a little bit of stronger stance against those camping in public areas.
Yeah, and those are those people who just completely refuse to comply with the services that we can provide to them. You know, and those are the people who are really the problem. So it's not us having a lack of compassion. It's just that they leave us with no choice in order to use the legal consequences that we could possibly impose on them.
Correct, and we are still going to go out. The mission LCAP and the agencies, and we're gonna try to reach every individual. But, you know, sometimes people just refuse services, and those are the ones we continue to work on. But this does give you guys the option to proceed how the city chooses to proceed here.
And Scott, do you have anything you want to add as far as the mental component here? And then I'll go to Missy as well.
Just to support Jack, you know, I think Jack had mentioned about a year ago, I don't know if you remember, there was a guy downtown in a wheelchair sitting at the corner, and you know, we sent some folks out, and it got to the point where when we did follow-up, there were so many people seeing him, just putting in orders for food, and I thought, well, we're doing something wrong. And I was asking the same questions you guys are, is that we're investing so much into helping people, we're not all on the same page, and that's where I said, look, we need to start we call it a homeless task force, you can call it whatever you want, but it was just to bring people to the table, and you know, knowing LCAP and Jack, we invited Drug and Alcohol, we invited a lot of agencies, and through that, started this coordinated entry system, where there's a database that we enter in information on who we're serving, so we can see we're all on the same page, and it gets back to the point on mental health is, I'm just as frustrated as everybody else. I mean, we're investing millions of dollars into mental health treatment. We're involved in the courts, we're involved in the schools, we're involved everywhere. We have a 24-hour walk-in center now. So when I see someone says that they lack mental health services, I'm like, what doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, right.
So either you choose the help that's available, or, you know, whatever the city decides, we support it. Because we're at the same table you are, asking the same exact questions, and I don't know what the answer is. What I do know is you know, the county gets a block grant, and it was about $8 million when I took over. It's over $11 million now.
Yes.
So we're getting funds. It's just making sure they're going to they're targeted to the right areas.
Right, and the collaborative effort that we're going to be creating here has to target those who refuse to comply with the help that we can provide. That's the problem. So, and Ms. Russell, do you have anything to add from LCAP?
Sure, thanks for having me. So at Lawrence County Community Action Partnership, we have many grants that we house single individuals, homeless families, things of that nature. We do homeless street outreach. We've done it for a very long time. I do want to say that in Lawrence County, we do not have a lot of chronically homeless individuals. At our last year's point in time count that we have every year, there was only 2 unsheltered individuals that we found. That's not to say the folks that were in transitional housing or some type of programming that considers them homeless. So I feel like we have great landlords, we have great community partners, we just have to be on the same page. So one of the things with affordable housing is we have housing here. Sometimes there's a need for funds sometimes to help landlords keep up their units, make sure that they stay affordable and safe. Other than that, I really feel that us working together as a unit is what's needed. That's what's been missing. LCAP is running and leading a lot of the charges we've done. We've always worked with our community partners, but it's been kind of siloed because I think that's just how we're used to working. So now with opening it up and having folks like you all from the city council, you know, having our mental health component, our drug and alcohol component, that's what we need. We need wraparound services. We can find the people. We have street outreach supplies. Our whole, I guess, thing of doing this homeless street outreach isn't to keep people comfortable on the street. It's to get a dangling carrot and to make them come in and see the support that's there. And it does work. It does work. But we need those wraparound services. And we need you all. We need you all. We need your support. We need you to be at the table with us. Because without leadership, it only goes so far. It only goes so far. We can only do so much. So I'm excited to be a part of this. I really think that this can only do well. We have been talking only solution-based things. We don't talk in barriers or obstacles anymore. Let's talk about solutions. I know why things aren't going to work. Trust me, I've been in this role for 20 years. I know why things don't work. So let's talk about how they can work. So I feel like now with this all going on, we can only succeed. So with that being said, thank you for your support, and I'm excited to see what
And
happens.
Ms. Russell, and to clarify for council here, so what you're doing is you actually act as a transition from the rescue mission and from our organization to move them into some housing, potentially into some housing.
Yeah, so it depends on there's no wrong door for a person to come through. So they might come through a mental health door, they might come through a drug and alcohol door, or the city rescue mission, or a DV, domestic violence door, or right to Lawrence County Community Action Partnership. What we do is assess. We need to assess them, where are they at, what are their needs? And then from there, we have multiple grants that we can house folks. Some of them permanently, some of them we call it rapid rehousing, which you can get just what you need, up to 12 months, up to 18 months. But with that, that's a lot of work for our caseworkers. We're housing counselors, housing advisors, we're not clinicians, right? So, and we're not DD providers. So that's why it's so important to work together with your community partners, because not one person can solve this. And it's true when it says it takes a village, it does. It takes everybody. It's not just your problem or my problem, it's and I don't want to say problem. I don't want to say that word. It's something that we have to work towards and together, and be honest and realistic about the folks that are on this street. Most of them don't want to be bothered. Most of them don't want you to even talk to them. I mean, that's been my experience. So the perception of some folks might just be from media, might just be, I don't know how much of it's from personal experience, but in my hands-on experience, I don't have, we don't have people chasing us down and wanting to harm us. When we go out and we do our street outreach, we leave information, we leave our cards, we go into those buildings, we go down the riverbanks, we go with the VA. I do regional VA programming. The regional VA homeless director in the state of Pennsylvania comes into town and he walks the street with us. So we have a lot of leadership around. We just need you all, we need the buy-in so we can come up with some solutions together. So,
Very good. Thank you.
you're up.
I asked Mr. Trinidad to come as well. Obviously, he's making a gigantic investment in our downtown. And Rick, if you want to, we were hoping you'd join this task force. You are making a great investment. You want to sell your units, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to shape this perspective of we got this gigantic vagrancy issue in our downtown.
Definitely. Thank you for inviting me, and Michael Mansour, my associate and partner. I don't see exactly where the fit is between what we do and what you do, but we all have the same objective of revitalizing Newcastle, and I see that already happening. So what I would like to do is kind of share a little bit of the progress that we've done since just about a year ago when I came over here and presented our goal of the Preeminence Project to you, and kind of what we've done, and then see where the fit is and how we can collaborate and work together. And I would love to be a part of the task force as well, because every city has different levels, different components. So as an urban planner, I can see the balance that's needed. So you need the low income and affordable housing. You also need the middle space, which is where we are. And you need luxury. You need wealthy people in the city as well. So that's how you have a healthy balance. And I think in our society and the country in general, right now, we've focused a lot, and it's a need, on the low income housing and affordable housing, and it's very, very needed. But we're also experiencing a crisis in the middle income, just the middle market, and that's really the largest segment in the United States. And here in Newcastle, and it's reflected throughout the country, we have deteriorated housing. That's a lot of it is over 75 years old, 100 years old, and really there's a need. Homes have a time span. Houses, buildings have, this building has a time span. Eventually, you stop rehabbing it and you have to tear it down and build something new, and that's where we are in Newcastle. There's so much blight, so much abandonment, so much vacancy, and it's because there hasn't been focus on the middle income kind of segment in society that's needed. And we've proven our model just recently. So just recently in Mahoning Township, not in Kingler Place, but in Mahoning Township, we built a home, we finished it, we sold it to a middle-income home family, and we're not displacing anybody. This is a husband and wife, they're teachers, so they don't have a huge income. They have 3 kids, beautiful family, and they were living in a deteriorated home because they had no other options. They couldn't afford anything outside like a Cranberry. And we built them a beautiful 2,400 square foot brand new single family home with a 10-year warranty. We just finished this home. They're just about to move in. We started it in September. We just finished it now. So 4 months start to finish. We got them financed and built it for them. And it's a success story because it's reflective of what I believe Newcastle needs. We didn't displace anybody. We helped improve an area in that community that needed to be rehabbed.
But so, a couple things here. Obviously, yeah, we do want you on our task force for this, which we're discussing tonight. But I think council's very interested in the progress that has been made so far with you downtown, because it's our downtown, everybody's seeing it. You know, people ask us questions. So if you could bring us up to date, our meeting next Thursday. Okay, bring us up to date on things that you're doing, things that's happening right now, and where we are on your program. Okay? But we want you on this task force.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Very interested. Thank
Yes.
you for your time.
Dave, can you give us a little background on some of the things and how we can all work together? Because we're probably going to shift this to the police committee, the task force.
Yeah, I've been in frequent touch with Mr. Lynn, Mr. Baldwin, and all the agencies. Great group of people, great to be working with them. I like the positive attitude. We all know what the problems are, but like they said, we're here for solutions. In my experience and observations, like they said, it's the mental health aspect of things. The services are there for the people that want them. So the people that turn them down or don't follow through with the services, more so than drugs and alcohol, it seems mental health's the main issue going on. I don't know a solution, obviously, to the problem, but on observation, a lot of these agencies, as Mr. Lynn said, Lawrence County this, Lawrence County that, Lawrence County that, but yet all these agencies are based in downtown. So that's what's bringing people into the city for the services, which is fine and fantastic if they go through with the services that they're provided. Again, the problem is when they don't do that. So I don't know if a possible solution would be to maybe expand these services through the county. Maybe if these people aren't pulled together, and they're kind of isolated from each other a little bit, the different agencies, that'll help keep them in the programs that they're here for. But again, that's what this committee's for, to come up with solutions to some of the problems. They've been great to work with. The problem is not that big in this town. I mean, you go to other cities and places, it's 100 times worse than we got here. We have a few people here and there, but that's a few people too many. And that's, again, the perception that's put on our downtown, put on our city, of the problems that are exaggerated quite a bit.
You know, Dave, we were all at the meeting when we tried to entice BC3 coming.
Yes.
And if you guys all remember, BC3 brought that up. Well, you know, we don't want our students being accosted by these vagrants that are downtown. And that's a wrong perspective. But that's one reason why we're here. And we're going to have this joint task force, because we don't want businesses, potential investors, to have that perspective.
Yes.
And we want them to understand and know that we are going to go after this issue. Now, obviously, we know the new court case that came around. The last thing we want to do is call you and say, hey, go arrest this guy. You know, we're going to try our best to make sure that they comply with the services that we're going to offer them.
But we have been citing people that violate the panhandling ordinance. First couple times, usually they tell them that you go, you can't do this, and then when they see them again, they start getting cited. So that aspect and end of things has been happening, has been helping somewhat. But again, the main thing, like they said, is people need to not give them money. Everyone knows that money's going probably towards drugs or alcohol, that sort of, more so than the needed food, shelter, and all that kind of stuff. But again, I don't think the problem is that grave right now. But if we're looking to revitalize our downtown, especially Mr. Trinidad's project, we have the people on North Street living in those nice apartments up there. I think that's a good angle for us to go at, to build up our downtown, and just those few people down there panhandling or being vagrant, cast that shadow over our whole downtown. So again, I like the positive attitude they have, looking for solutions. Again, the one thing I might say is try to expand these services more so away from the downtown any way we can. But again, the problem's not that big to tackle, I don't think.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you. We'll shift this to our police committee. I think, who's all of that? I think Mr. Rosano. Okay, I'll serve on it too.
I just served.
Yeah, good.
My background in mental health and serving as a master level social work, formerly working for LCAP and now working for Human Services. A lot of this is the mental health aspect, like Mr. Baldwin was saying, and I'd like to be on that task force as well. So
Thank you.
just to offer my.
Any other questions or comments to this discussion? No? Okay, Mr. Ward, myself, Mr. Rosano will sit on this committee with you guys. I'll be in contact. We'll begin our meetings to have a plan of attack, especially for the spring and summer. Okay? Guys, thanks so much for coming. We're on the verge. We're moving ahead. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, guys, let's move ahead here. Under public comments, anybody that's related to any items on the agenda? Does anybody sign up? No? Okay, moving on. Planning Commission reports, there are none. Land development zoning map amendments, the land development plan of Elwood Remall Still from Arabia Street. If we're going to act on this, the resolution is going to be prepared for January 16th. Can somebody refresh my memory on this? Jonathan or Chris?
Elwood Quality Still, I believe they're looking to expand their remelters, this development that they're doing on their property. So they came before the planning commission, presented their plan, and the planning commission voted in favor of it. So they're reaching the our council can review and approve it as well.
Okay, so it's at the commission, I mean,
Yeah,
it's coming to us.
and now it's coming to council. There was a few years back, remember the job down there, they built a massive remelt center. This is an expansion to that project that they did.
Okay, are we gonna have this on the agenda for Thursday to vote for? Everybody agree? Everybody take that? Yeah, okay. You guys look at me like I got two legs. All right, moving on. Request a bid, super pave hot mix, there's none to be, we're gonna go out to bid for that, right? On the agenda for Thursday. There's none to be received, none to be referred. On the repository, we have a list of attached for our review and consideration. Are we gonna move on this Thursday, those repository?
You need to, yeah.
Okay? Yeah, you guys have that list?
Yeah, that is running back.
Oh, we haven't, oh, man, okay. Okay, Finalizing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe there's three here.
They're
that you're
just
in.
vacant lots, I'm just looking to make my yard bigger.
Okay,
Down the road.
very good. Now, we'll put this on the agenda for next Thursday.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Okay, 2024 paving change order. The attached is the exact change in order amount of $48,902.87. Is this from Youngblood, Chris?
Yes.
It is. Any questions to that? None? Okay, there's no purchase request, no resolutions on the table or any for consideration. Our zoning, orders on the table attached to the caucus agenda for review. I believe this is with the John Solar, correct? Okay. And And we're gonna review, are we gonna do this on Thursday, or we can't, and you have it all prepared?
It is.
Okay.
It's been advertised, so you're good for the 16th if you want.
Okay, and this jogs my memory, guys. We're gonna have to start moving on the rezoning of our downtown. We're gonna have to start discussing.
There's a zoning meeting on Tuesday at 12.
There is this Tuesday?
I believe so.
Monday or Tuesday.
When's the finance?
Finance is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday,
Tuesday.
both of them are Wednesdays.
No, wait.
No, wait.
No,
Why is
Tuesday.
it Tuesday?
It's Tuesday the 14th.
Tuesday.
You can come Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 14th.
And we also did an RFP for the comprehensive plan and zoning updates that was submitted. I did send an email to the council informing you that, that we need to do an extension for that to make it instead of tonight, to do the opening on, or that for me to receive them on Thursday, the 16th. So, I did talk to a couple different companies, I actually talked to our DCED. DCED has a group of planners that will be able to assist us in reviewing those RFPs, so I'll plan on sending it to them, just to ensure that the material and the information is provided from the different firms are, going to benefit the city in the direction, that the state planning code, recommends. So I did talk to her today, and again, I'm hopeful that at least two, I know I personally sent it out, and with the help of, Ben Bush from the Board of Lawrence, sent it out to about 4 different agencies, it was advertised, and we'll hope we get a good candidate and we can get this project started.
And that comprehensive plan is going to help us with the rezoning of our downtown. So, as Councilman Ward knows, we've done a ton of work for, preliminary work in like getting thoughts on paper and ideas for the rezoning of our downtown, and the city in general. But, we're kind of pausing because the comprehensive plan works in tandem. So we can continue that preliminary work to just bring everybody's ideas.
Comprehensive plan
The
first.
comprehensive plan, I think it runs in tandem, right? Like, so it's all part of that grant that we received, and these folks that are going to help us with our comprehensive planning are also going to help us with our zoning. So they're gonna bring us best practices, they're gonna bring us ideas for, and look at our zoning maps now and get our feedback, and then help us with our zoning.
Our zone is really old, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's fairly old, and it's, we've changed, right?
Yeah, it's
And
changed,
there's-
right?
There's a lot of things changing, we all have a lot of different ideas, and a lot of the discussions that we've had were good ideas that were coming out of it, we were poring over maps and past zoning ordinances and stuff like that, so it's, there's a lot of good stuff that's already being done, and, Councilman Ward can lead that committee.
It's important for this process and talking to some other communities and the state and knowing what we did. We're already some fairly ahead of a lot of communities in terms of the work that we've already done. So it's going to be very important is when we start this process to continue that the establishment of our committees and how we've been working together and working with our community, the CDC, town services on the Elm Street project, things like that. We need to get everybody included because there's going to be a lot of community outreach, and we need those perspectives to generate those ideas and recommendations that are going to help build that report. So it's where we should be getting started with everything probably about mid-February.
Okay, excellent. Under conditional use request, we have none. Under new business, I have a few things. Anybody else?
I do too.
I have a
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Me?
Yeah, you go first.
Sorry, I forgot to state. All right, I just want to say to the 1,424 voters who voted me in office, thank you. I was able to beat a 3-term incumbent by 22 votes. Every vote matters at the local election, every vote. The last 4 years I've been blessed to serve on council. Downtown's getting more energy put into it, and the demolitions and construction is taking place. Our comprehensive plan, like City Administrator Fryer just said, is in the process of getting updated. And we're putting some more energy in our zoning districts that hasn't been updated in a long time. There's some entertainment areas where the city will continue to help support our local festivals like the Juneteenth celebration, summer concert series, and the Firework Festival. And we're excited to have back to the 50s come back to our city. Seeing the city build relations with the community, local and state officials, we have been able to complete a lot of the projects. The city of Newcastle is heading in the right direction with leadership of administration and council, and I'd like to continue to see the efforts thrive and come to fruition as I am renouncing for re-election for Newcastle City Council again. I heard many concerns and brought those concerns to the table to address them, and I'm going to continue to be a voice for the voiceless in our community. I did an interview with the Newcastle News last week and told them that I will be sending out a letter for my re-announcement for council, so that's all I had.
Excellent, good.
I have some trouble.
Good to hear. Dave, Eric?
We had our Code Fire Committee meeting on Monday. We also talked about a couple key things. 2025 city demos. I know last year in 2024 we kind of went out late in the year to bid, and those properties are torn down, but the land restoration hasn't been completed yet because of the weather. So I would like to go out. I know I talked to Mr. Chaffee. He has a list of a decent amount of houses that are ready for demo. We can go out for city demos maybe early this year, maybe request a bid in like February. That way the buildings will come down and the contractor can restore the land, right away and then get grass planted. It'd be nice for the summer.
How many are on that, Eric? I think you said how many? Do you know how many?
He has a list of about 15 right now that are ready for demo. I do have a demolition list. I have one here I can give to every council member if you want one. Also, we talked about the vacant property ordinance. We need to enact on updating it or creating something new that we can go after these property owners, whether it's a residential structure or a commercial structure, to get them registered, charge them a yearly fee as they stay vacant longer, maybe, up the fee every so many years, and that way we can maybe try to get business owners that own these commercial properties that are sitting vacant, and also residential properties to, either rent them out or sell them, try to get them back on the tax base, get community, families to live in them. So I think that's something we need to look into soon this year.
It goes such a long way in improving our neighborhoods. Excellent.
And that's all I have.
Dave or Eric? Dave? Okay, I have a couple. Gentlemen, moving more on the Shenango China. It's incumbent upon us to take this over. I've been doing a lot of research on it. The owner there owes well over $60,000 in fines, and it's growing every day. A good portion of that place has been condemned, which gives us an opportunity to take it over. One of the reasons, obviously, he's getting a lease fee from Resco Properties. If we need to snap that Band-Aid off and take it over, I think we should. There is nothing that he's going to do over these next years. So we need to really look at it. I tried to get a hold of Ben Bush today to come up with a plan with Fort Lawrence. Ben is indisposed right now, but we're moving in that direction to get that done. Despite the risk, we need to take that property over. It has a lot of potential, So we're moving in that direction. Additionally, speaking with Anthony Chaffee, St. Francis Hospital is ready for demolition. It's on 30 days, ready to go within 30 days, unless the gentleman who owns it files an appeal, of which he's probably just about out of appeals at this point. So we're moving in that direction. That's coming to a head here real quick. And also, there's a hearing set up for the owner of Days Inn coming up here real quick too. So we're moving on those three parcels. And as a side thing, I went out to see the new pickleball facility at Shenango Township, guys. And I want to tell you something. It is an out-of-sight facility. The place is crowded all the time, and he's going to be having national tournaments. So I want you to keep in the back of your mind our Merritt property there. Let's not just let this go away. There's some potential here. I know not everybody is in agreement with me on this, but I'm thinking recreation is a big draw in our downtown, and it would be a part of it. I can't tell you how busy he is and how crowded they are. They don't have enough court time, and he got 10 courts there. So there is a potential there. So I don't want anybody just to dismiss the possibility of that property there. And I know there's a cost to it, I understand. So, okay, Chris?
Yeah, I just have one piece of business for Thursday, if possible. Chief Kumo just shared with me that they're in need of a language service to help do some translation for the police. They've looked through multiple companies, some haven't gotten back to them, but they had a webinar today. Other companies, no fee to the city for them unless they use the services per minute. He's going to provide me with that agreement. There's no fee to enter the agreement, but only when we utilize the service. Right now, the offices are in need of having somebody on the spot when they're out, and they can use their cell phone to each car to do translation services when they're responding to calls. So if we can add that to the agenda to take a look at that between now and next week, I appreciate it.
Okay.
I know, just to add to that, I don't know what service, but I know Human Services Center utilizes Genie. It's an app that we could just call a number and there's a translator on the opposite side of the phone. Genie, Jeenie, and that service has been nothing but great for HSC.
Okay, moving on. Under executive session, there's nothing really scheduled for it. There's no personnel, no threat of litigation, no contracts, no sale lease of property. So as an announcement, next Thursday, January 16th, is our public meeting at 6 p.m. So I thank everybody for coming here this evening, and I'll see you all next Thursday. And let's go home and watch Penn State and Notre Dame.